Hi everyone, this is Melissa, and today I'm going to be creating an A2 size card using the Marine Friends Mama Elephant stamp set, along with All That Jazz, Catherine Pooler ink, and Meant to Be Catherine Pooler ink. I'll be die cutting in these Lawn Fawn circle dies, 2 circles for my card. Actually, I think I might end up doing 3 for this card. And I'm showing you an example before we get started. I am using Bristol Smooth for this demonstration here. However, the circles that I showed you previously are ones that were done on regular white cardstock. Regular white cardstock doesn't necessarily take water very well, but Bristol Smooth does. So I'm starting with Meant to Be and using a blending tool to spread that ink onto that Bristol Smooth paper. I will tell you that now that I've got my Picket Fence Studios life-changing brushes, I think those are much better at blending ink on Bristol Smooth paper, as you don't get these large circles that you see me getting as I blend All That Jazz ink onto the card. I go back and forth between the 2 inks to get a smooth transition blend between the 2, but I'm not going to worry so much about the ink marks that you see. Now on the left is the Bristol Smooth paper, and on the right is my regular cardstock. You can see there's quite a difference between the appearance of the 2, so I decide in the end that I'm actually going to use that regular cardstock. Even though it didn't take the water so well when I splashed water on to get those white splotches, I do think it's a nice effect and I want to use those on my card. So I put my Marine Friends stamp set into a MISTI, and I'm going to be inking these stamps up with Memento Tuxedo black ink and stamping them on Hammermill paper. Hammermill is great for Copic coloring, and you get quite a bit that's fairly inexpensive. I also like Copic Express It paper for Copic coloring. I am going to be taking my Copic markers and coloring these little critters. I'm starting with N0 and moving right from N0 to an N5. I like to color the shadow places with the lightest color first so I can kind of get an idea of where I want my shadows to lie on the animal. And then I am taking the darkest color and going in and then shading those areas. Next, I'll move to my N3 and pull out that dark color into the white space that I've left, and then I'll go into that N0. I will say that it would be nice to have the N1 for this coloring, just because I think I would get a much smoother blend than I get by jumping from an N3 to an N0. However, you'll see me going back and forth with those 2 colors just to get a really smooth blend on this cute little dolphin. I'm going to color the other critters that you see here too, and I'll just put on a little bit of music just to finish that out so that you can watch without me gabbing. So I'm just joining you back a little bit early just because I did not show you the caps when I colored the little fish. I am using a R20 and an R30, and I believe the lightest shade there is an R00. So now that I'm done coloring, I'm using my Cutter Bee scissors to fussy cut the dolphin and the other little critters that I colored. And I find these scissors to be the best scissors for fussy cutting, as they're small and they also have stayed sharp after a number of years. I only use them on paper, however. I don't cut fabric or any kind of adhesive type materials with these scissors. So once all of the animals are fussy cut, I'm going to start constructing my card, and I'm turning to Simple Stories Vintage Botanical paper. I love this paper. There's some very beautiful selections in here, and I'm kind of flipping through so that you can see. I apologize, I'm a little bit off camera, but you can see how beautiful those papers are and the different soft colors that you get. It is quite a vintage type paper. So I'm taking this Whimsy Stamps die, rectangle die, and cutting out the white rectangle and frame, and then I'm placing that into my MISTI so that I can stamp the sentiment that comes in the Marine Friends stamp set from Mama Elephant with the All That Jazz Catherine Pooler ink. And I'm doing so that that ink, that sentiment, will match the ink that I used to blend those circles. It's nice to have a MISTI tool because I wasn't quite sure how the Catherine Pooler ink would stamp sentiments, but you can see it looks quite beautiful. Next, I'm adhering that pink polka dot paper that you saw from Vintage Botanicals to my card base. I've cut 1/4 of an inch off of each side so that it'll fit my A2 card perfectly. Now I'm going to go ahead and adhere the circles. Oh, actually I start with my sentiment. I'm going to put that rectangle sentiment back in the frame and use my tape runner across both so that they stay in place. I will tell you that I flipped that centered rectangle upside down and it no longer fits the frame perfectly. So if I had to do this over again, I would probably recut it so that I did not have that. I've adhered my circles, and now I'm using my sheer shimmer stick in Sparkle to add some beautiful sparkle to those circles. And now I'm popping up the last little dolphin onto the top of that frame for a little bit of added dimension. The last thing I want to do is add some sequins, so I've picked out some turquoises and pink sequences that match this card beautifully, and adding those with my On Point glue and a small set of tweezers. I really like On Point glue for adding sequins as it seems to adhere nicely and the sequins stay put. Last, I'm taking Pico Embellisher in White Wedding, and I'm adding a few bubbles to this card. I really like the Pico Embellisher. If you've used Nuvo drops, you know that sometimes you get a little point on the top. With the Pico Embellisher, it comes out much more fluid, and you don't get those kind of points on the top. So I hope you enjoyed today's card tutorial and that you'll join us again here at Melissa Made for more tutorials. And you'll go to 7 Kids Crafting Supply Store to pick up some of your products, such as Mama Elephant stamps and Catherine Pooler inks. I hope you have a great day.